One of the things she definitely did right was nail the attitude of a trust funder, says Nimrod Kamer, a gonzo journalist and professional social climber who aspires to be one of the first Israelis featured in Tatler. I met many people who were like her, like an heiress lady who would act like Anna Delvey. No charisma, the shouting, being rude to waiters, and tipping them in a large way. So she really played the part. I think she got to observe. I'm pretty sure she's done what I've done, which is sneaking in, Kamer said by phone from his home in London. And once she got in, she learned how to act like a real lady that inherited money. Kamer, the author of The Social Climber's Handbook, a shameless guide, was even moved enough by Delvey's story to spend a night at 11 Howard after her arrest in a sort of dual forensic investigation and seance. I stayed one night at 11 Howard just to see how she felt going to the sauna and bumping into the concierge. I have an audio recording with the manager talking to him about how it was when she was there, Kamer told me. I think also what I've learned from her, which I've done, or maybe she learned from me, maybe she read my book, is going to venues that are just launching. 11 Howard was launching, or like stuff that is not fully set up. And then you take advantage of the soft launch and they're willing to extend your credit sometimes, or just give you freebies. Though Kamer doesn't advocate taking things as far as Delvey did. He's not adverse to using some trickery to bust into traditionally closed social circles. Like the time he smuggled a woman into a private men's club in the UK by wheeling her in inside a piece of luggage, or the time he cornered then Prime Minister Theresa May at a magazine party to ask her about his immigration status. The first rule to infiltrating elite society, he says, is to build up your social media following and ask for free stuff. When we checked in by phone mid-COVID-19 outbreak, for example, he told me he was practically swimming in free click and grows, machines that help you grow your own lettuce indoors. He's also gotten hotel stays, pet food, mattresses, laptops, and even a rent-free apartment in this way. I once moved into a sample flat. I told them I might want to feature the new building. So I lived there for a few days and nothing really worked, Kamer said. Like a sample coffee machine was defective. Kamer is nothing if not an ethical scammer. So when it came time for him to decide whether to feature the sample flat on his social media, he apologized and declined, telling the management company, "I can't write about you because you gave it to me for free. So I won't be honest in my review site if I write about it." His second rule is never to take no for an answer. Just like a burglar creating his own doors and windows to get into an otherwise locked building, Kamer knows there's always another way into the party than getting on the actual invite list. Pretend, for example, you owe money at the door, and you want to get in to pay what you owe them from the night before. You have an open tab in the hotel, or you have something in the cloakroom you haven't taken. There's many ways to get in. I'll even show an email that someone sent you. Even a rejection email from the PR, Kamer said. While Kamer freely admits he, McFarland, and Delvey have all dipped into the same bag of tricks, he says he tries to keep his business activities at least somewhat above board and aim toward the greater good, enriching himself by pitching inane ideas to people with more money than sense. Just by being there and observing the elites, it's like getting money for yourself. Just by being there yourself. I'm in a way doing class war because I never bought a ticket. Sneaking in is not a crime, as opposed to maybe scamming and getting money like Anna Delvey, Kamer said. So sneaking in is the first step, which many of the scammers have done, and that's not illegal. And then, once you're in there, it's a lot easier to get a job or to get someone to hire you because they assume you're part of that group. That knowledge came in handy in 2012, when he decided to see how far the right-wing media was willing to take its obsession with Barack Obama's birthplace by filming an obviously fake Kenya birth video and distributing it online. I paid for half the production, Vice paid for the other half. The initial idea was to shoot in Kogelo, Kenya, but Vice couldn't afford it, Kamer wrote on Medium. He and the team found what appeared to be a 25-pound baby actor on Craigslist and used an 8mm iPad app to make the footage look more vintage. Then he uploaded the footage to Vimeo and gave a print interview to Vice under the guise of a Romanian cotton-based import-export businessman who had stumbled across the footage and had handy explanations for all of the more suspicious elements of the film. That baby is massive. It looks like it's at least a year old, the interviewer noted. Babies are born heavy all the time. I see no issue with that, and I assure you, most of the general public has no idea how big infants are in Kenya, Kamer replied. You might think the U.S. is a fat society, but in Kenya, they are born big, and then they become light. It seemed clear from the jump that the whole thing was an elaborate prank. And indeed, it was generally covered that way in the press. The most amazingly, entertainingly fake video of a fake Barack Obama being born, featuring a baby that is all cleaned up and looks about 3 months old, to a fake Ann Dunham in a fake Kenyan hospital has been leaked to Vice because, wait for it, the leaker couldn't get in touch with Donald Trump, The Atlantic reported at the time. It is so fake it makes you wonder if it was made not by birthers, but by liberals mocking birthers. But we see what we want to see, and apparently Donald Trump saw impeachment on the horizon. The day before Kamer was set to reveal how he had arranged the prank in the New York Observer, he got a call from Michael Cohen, Trump's former fixer, whose time in federal prison would later briefly overlap with Billy McFarland's. I asked to speak to Mr. Trump. Cohen said he'll personally wire me $10,000 for exclusive rights and a downloadable file, as well as any other material I may have from Kenya. I'll need to sign an NDA. Mr. Trump always wanted to have this kind of proof, he proclaimed. I asked whether Mr. Trump watched the video himself. Cohen confirmed that they did. I said I'll get back to him, Kamer wrote on Medium. Though he did film a reveal video that was initially posted on Vice's website, it's since been pulled down for reasons unknown to Kamer. Generally, Kamer sees himself as a sort of Robin Hood, using his social knowledge for good to help regular people get behind the velvet rope and exposing the malfeasance he sees lurking behind it in the dark, smoky rooms where power tends to congregate. I see it as class warfare, where people from Caroline Calloway to Anna Delvey are at the front. They're like fighting the elites, essentially, and equalizing things, said Kamer. Those same scammers were the source of inspiration for artists Karen Knox and Jay Stevens when they needed to shoot a luxurious-looking video short on a pauper's budget. Their solution? To fake an engagement.